It's time for the Daily Stand Up Podcast presented by Agile Dad with your host, Lee Henson. Without any further ado, let's get started. All right, it's time for another Light the World episode of the Daily Stand Up Podcast. I must admit, this is only for a week, but I don't want it to end. This has just been such a magnificent, amazing time sharing this. And I hope that you'll find some light and I hope that you'll keep sharing that light with others. Today, I want to talk about sharing light. Now, one of the ways that we learn, and one of the best ways we learn, and this is something that I've been practicing ever since I've been teaching, is that the best way you can teach someone is through a story or a parable. And we've all had events that have happened in our life that help shape who we are. And I'm no exception. And I've decided for today that I was going to get a little personal and I was going to share an event with you. It was an event that happened that brought me really great joy. And it was something that really changed my life forever. So I hope that you enjoy this personal story. I'm going to try not to sob when I do it, but it's something that's really important to me. So here we go. So, many, many years ago, um, in fact, over 50 years ago, a young man was born, and that man was me. And at the time, my father and mother didn't have a strong connection or as strong a connection as they thought they did. And my father went away and he joined the military and he left. And as far as I knew, it was like he didn't exist. He didn't want anything to do with me. I remember my mom going after child support payments, but I really didn't have any relationship at all with my dad. Now, for those of you who don't know me well, I grew up dirt poor. I'm talking, I was I couldn't even afford the OR. And I remember the very first time that I met my dad. And I want to share this with you because it's rather interesting because it speaks volumes about where I was in my life and volumes about what kind of man he is. So he discovered where I was, and he decided that he was going to leave Germany and come to America and find me, and that he was going to visit me where I was. And he did come to the apartment where I was living. And the apartment where I was living, let's just say, wasn't in the best part of town. It was in a really rough area. And my mom took the time to meet with me beforehand and told me, about how he had so much and so much more than I had, and he was really wealthy. And it was around my birthday, and she says, "Make sure you hit him up for everything you can because he's got so much more than we have." And at the time, when you're in that situation where you're that poor and you meet someone who's got that much, even if they didn't have everything, and even if they weren't independently wealthy, the fact that they had a house or a car that belonged to them, even if they were making payments, it was still way more than I ever had. So, having never grown up in a house before, having lived in apartments all my life, having been through many abusive relationships with my step parents, I knew that this was an opportunity to connect with my dad. But I also knew that this was the only chance I was going to have to be like a normal kid. So, my dad took me out and he asked me what I wanted. And the one thing I could think of that I wanted was parachute pants. I don't know if you remember those, but it was big in the breakdancing days, and that was my thing. And they were like $100 a pair. And I remember the disappointment in his eyes, and I remember how he knew the only reason that I asked for that gift was because it was something that I would never be able to have, and it broke my heart when he asked me, he says, I wanted to get to know you and I wanted to spend time with you. I sent you letters and they've all got sent back. And, I didn't understand. I was so confused. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to believe. I was torn between two people. And at the time, I didn't have any kind of spiritual guidance that was really, really strong in my life. So I didn't have a place to go pray or someone to ask or a father figure to lean on. So it was frustrating. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to believe. And I was at my wits' end. Now, what I can tell you is that he invited me to spend some time in Germany. And I thought that sounded amazing. Living on a military base, going to Germany, learning a new language, meeting different people. I mean, it was an opportunity of a lifetime. And my mom adamantly refused. And my dad went away, and I didn't see him again for almost 10 years. The next time I saw him, my heart was so broken. He was frustrated. I was frustrated. I was bent and spent. And even at that point, when I met him, I was doing better than I was before, but still not in a good way. Why do I share this with you? Because one might not imagine that at some point in my life, I was completely broken. I was at my lowest of lows. I had addictions and I had problems and I had all kinds of things happen in my life that spelled out the word failure over and over again. I didn't have anything going my way. But what I can tell you is there's a certain thing that changed my life. I had an opportunity I got invited by a friend to go to a Christian church youth event, and I went, and I thought it was really cheesy and hokey. But of course, I met a girl there, and that girl I dated for some time, and let me tell you, she had the patience of Job. She was one of the most amazing women I've ever dated. I dated her all through high school, and she was just incredible. I mean, she did everything to help me understand who I was supposed to be and what potential I had. Then, after I finished high school, I said enough mean things to her and did enough things that I probably shouldn't have ever done that she was smart and left. And I met someone else who taught me a different set of values about respect and about giving to others when you have, and about opening your heart to other people, and about sincerity in relationships. And she was amazing and she taught me so much. But likewise, I didn't do the right things and I lost her. And then finally, when the time was right, I had an opportunity to learn more about religious freedom and about gifts from God and about all these different things that helped bring me and my heart full joy. And through that joy, I was able to meet my current wife, and it was time, and I knew it was time, and it was way later, but I asked myself and challenged myself, why was I going through all these bad experiences and why couldn't I find happiness? And the full reason why I couldn't find happiness was because it just wasn't time. And now I have everything I need and everything I want, and my kids have everything they need and want, and their kids will have everything they need and want. It's a set deal at this point. But there's still one thing that money can't buy, and that's the gift of your love and the gift of your time. And if you're in a place where you don't have much, if you're in a place where you are struggling, if you're in a place where you can't rub two pennies together and make fire, right? You need to understand that even through darkness, there's light. And even though that light might not be there today, that light will be there. And all you have to do is seek it. And if you seek that light when the time is right, that light will light you up and it will lift you up. And only thing that's required of you is that you love everyone else the same way that you're being loved. And man, it's valuable when it happens. It's powerful when it happens. But it's one of those things where when you have that light, there's a big requirement. And the requirement is that you share that light. And I hope that this week you've taken an opportunity to listen to these podcast episodes and that you've had an opportunity to share this light with others, that you've had an opportunity to uplift other people and share, whether it's a sacred piece of music or caroling with neighbors or singing your favorite church hymn or identifying who's been a good shepherd in your life and guided you and helped you publicly or privately, and take an opportunity to bless their life and thank them, whether it's just making a dinner and making an extra plate and driving around until you find someone that can use it and put together a little package that you can give to them with a blanket and a dinner. And you'd be surprised how people react. I just think that there's so many gifts and so much light in this world, but yet the world is being polluted with darkness. So I hope that you'll take my challenge for this Friday, and as Christmas creeps up upon us, that you'll take the opportunity to really extend yourself to those you love and to those that you don't know. Be the light, live the light, tell a story about something that's going to uplift them. The relationship that I have now with my father is incredible. It's powerful. The relationship I have with my mom is really good, and it's on the up and up. It's amazing to me to see. Do I still long for things? You bet. I'd love to have a relationship with my brothers. I think that would be incredible, but I don't get to spend enough time with them, and I don't get to share. So my challenge for me is to find time to do that. But my challenge for you is to don't wait until you're in your darkest hour to figure this out. Use this as a lift, a boost to get you to where you need to be, and I promise you'll have happiness. Until next time, stay healthy, stay well, and stay agile. Merry Christmas, my friends.